Hello everyone, this is my first video and I swear I'm gonna post it. This is me in the beginning. I call this my chaos colors. And then as you can see, I would outline in gold. What are those? Those gold gel pens. Like, how about that? I don't even have one. Oh, wait. There we go. Well, this is my white one. I love these. There. That's who they are. Uniball. These I find are the best for doing this kind of line work. And the gold ones are sublime. Anyway, there's that one. And as time went on, as I was doing these, I would spray the page with water. And this is just Canson, very light paper. It's not cotton by any means. I would spray the page with water. As you can see, there's some droplets over here. And just drop from the bottle my favorite colors. And I'd watch them coalesce and mingle. And I hadn't been tuning in to, there's some silver gel pen, to YouTube. I hadn't been watching other people do acrylic pours or any of that. So this one I liked because it reminded me of nudibranchs on the ocean floor around coral reefs. And I used a lot of Signo white gel pen on this one. And then this was my very first one. I liked this one, and I got this effect by using chopsticks. I didn't like the fact that it was pooling up right here in one spot. That made a really happy little shadow effect that I liked. This, I love that. It reminded me of ocean floor coral, like one of those fan corals. There's my name. And I took those great big puddles of what I perceived to be a lot of waste if I didn't use it. So I'd take my chopsticks and just do this business. And that was my favorite go-to thing to do. I did all this in this fashion because I had just lost my mother. Oh, I can do some line work on this one. And I lost my ability to not speak, but just emote, like in words. I couldn't emote in words how I was feeling. So I fell to this. I went into Michael's one day, and I saw this Dr. P.H. Martin's Hydrus watercolors sitting there in this bright circular tray with these dropper tops on them. And it was like $80. And I was still billing claims. I still had my 40-hour-a-week job. This is back in 2015. And I bought it. I just took it home and I started doing this. And it made me feel better. It made me feel like I could emote on paper. And this, as some of these started to turn out, started looking like shapes. When I would do the chopsticks, I would look and I'd say, that looks like fish, actually. But I wasn't really good at adding the actual line work for a fish. I would just outline what looked like a fish of that part. And I never finished it. I never put like the body and the tail and the fins and all of that. But I did do the eye. And this one looked like another one, but I thought it was enough to where I didn't need to do any line work on it. And I just went on like that for years and years and years. And these are just the literal best of the bunch. I threw a bunch away. To me, this looks like an Arkansas Razorback, except for the tail, which I had to put that on there. There's fire or something here, and some more coral. So we got a little bit of ocean, some land, some warmth, and to me, what looked like a razorback hog. I did do that myself right there, I think with a chopstick. The way you would take a leaf and just the end of your brush and just pull that line through the leaf. I did this, and then I just kept going. And every once in a while, a shape or a person or a thing would pop up in these abstract colors that I was just dropping onto the water on the page. And I'd let them dry, and I mean, they were everywhere. My kids were like, God, can you please get these hung up somewhere? And I said, it's watercolor, they'll drip. So that was while we were in our apartment. So a lot of things have happened since then. And now we're in our tiny home, and I'm going through all of these, and I'm finally going to post in the beginning my video for that. So just quickly, this will give you a little bit of background on where I started, why I started, how I started, and the paint I used, and why. And I didn't even get to do line work on that one. Although that's a great background, I might want to do some gouache on that. I think I'll set that aside and do some gouache on it. Oh well, I'll get it here in a minute. Here's another lovely, I love this color of orange and red and the mix. And as you turn them, it kind of looks like a little fox right here. And I did a outline of his paw. It's kind of sitting down. And I started seeing things like that, and I would do outlines on them. And this, and then I would experiment with dots, dotted lines, and I would watch the colors as they bled out towards the edge and lightened. I would teach myself color theory and go, oh, if you mix that color of red with that color of blue, it kind of almost turns pink, but then it goes reddish violet. So I just did a lot of experimenting. This was a shape that I bought, and I laid it down on the paper, sprayed around it, and then proceeded to drop color, and then use the chopsticks. Pardon me. And just go from there. I still could do a little bit here and here and here, but after a while, I'd get tired of one and I'd set it aside. I thought, I'll come back to it. Well, here I am all these years later, and I'm looking at them and going, oh, I should have finished that, or it didn't look quite finished. But this is what I've done, and how I started really loving painting and watercolor because of the way that they will blend. Like sitting right next to each other is this brilliant blue, and I think that's phthalo blue, and this is an orange, a Hansa yellow orange, I think is what it is. And it's all in the Dr. P.H. Martin Hydrus watercolor. It's not, I hadn't gotten to the concentrated radiant watercolor yet, which is more like ink. But these, oh, I need to outline that. I can do something with that, with gouache. I'm gonna set that aside. Gouache. I'm back. This, I thought, looked like kind of like a bird, an ostrich or something, or a flamingo, a water bird of some sort. And it was just basically taking the paper and going like this and letting it run all over. And I just used my favorite colors. And there's a bit of water reed going up that way. Oh, this is another favorite. Let's see, which way did I? It looked like coral right through here. So naturally, I started dotting with Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White and the Signo White Gel Pen. And I just started experimenting with tendrils, maybe. Maybe this is an anemone. I really loved water and water life, ocean life. Here's another one. Now, to me, this is pretty obvious. Here's a nose. It kind of reminds me of a deer. And then up here, the ears go wonky. But that's just the way the water flowed and the color flowed. And then I just made an eye because it just needed an eye there. And then the mouth kind of is here. I could do some more line work on that. Maybe I'll do some more gouache on that and see what I can come up with. Here's another one. And here's yet another red one with line work. Kind of looks like a fish with stickleback. But that's just the way the colors blended into the water that I sprayed on the page. And then this, just water. Again, water and paint that I dropped on the page. Now that I'm looking at all this, I'm gonna have to do a couple of these and use these shapes as my background for doing, okay, right there, it looks like a wolf. Nose, forehead, or maybe a werewolf. But recently I discovered an artist on YouTube called Maddie Bellwar, and she is amazing. And then today or last night, I discovered another gouache artist. What was her name? I was just watching her videos. Oh, Kiara Maharaj. Maharaj. She is amazing as well. I love her fantasy art and her creatures and fairies. And here's another abstract piece. And another one. I did most of these back in 2015, 2016. Trying to figure things out. Find my voice, be able to emote, talk about my feelings, and little by little, unfortunately, my children got the most of that. I could actually do a gouache over this too. I love this. I love fire colors, the warm autumn colors. That's what I could do. I could do an autumn picture on that. Yeah. And then that'll be my second video. This, sometimes I have to, that looks like another fish to me. A bigger one, like a grouper. That's kind of cool. Oh, yes. And then I started doing a lot of line work with cabochons and Zentangles. I love these. This one I really loved. I was trying to learn how to do bubbles, and I haven't quite finished this one because I got tired of the whole piece, so I set it aside, and here it is. It's coming up unfinished, but showing you my evolution of artistic growth. There's another one. I don't know. That looks like a horse's head running. The rest. There was a crocodile in here. Oh, this is really fun. This one came out, one of those things that came out with a couple of faces in it. I don't know how to go closer. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Okay, if you look here, here's a mouth. There's a lower jaw. There's a little nose. And he's got this protuberance coming out of his forehead off of his snout. And a little eye there. I don't know if it's definitely a hybrid of something. But I just saw shape and tone. And there's an ear. And here's another eye, or it could be a gill. Anyway, this one was really interesting. And then I just hand drew these in there and started the dotting, and then got tired of it by the time I got over here. And here we are. Haven't quite finished it yet, but I like things like this because they sparked my imagination because of the way the paint coalesced and set up. And this, another one I signed, and it is like a, it's demonstrating my mind at the time. I had so many things swirling in my head and couldn't pin down to any one thing. And so it kind of demonstrates where my head was at the time. I wanted to be solid, but there are thoughts and pictures and motion and time and conversations that I had with my mom my entire life, and it was all swirling in my head, and I didn't. A couple of times I would catch myself trying to call her to work through the sadness of losing her. Like, hey Mom, I just wanted to call and talk to you a few minutes about, and then I'd stop myself and go, oh, right, okay. And then I'd have a whole afternoon of reflection, and that's when I would start doing this again. And I like this. This kind of reminds me of a person underneath all of this, maybe an anime person, just sitting cross-legged, their shoulder right here, and I could go in there and make some hands folded or something, but that's what I was doing. I would do this and I would see things and I would think, oh, I know what that is, and I would either go back with line art and outline what I saw, to me, what I saw, and then this one I outlined on both sides of the line in black, and that got old really quick, and I did about that much of it, and I went, yep, that's done. And then that looks like a sea turtle. There's a flipper, his little head. That's all messed up, but anyway. Then I started making really thick lines with those white gel pens. And I could go up here and do some more. Talk about pulling out your old artwork and reworking it. Wow. And I like this one because for some reason, I can't remember what happened there, but I either took a straw and blew it this circle, or I think I just squirted the bottle right there in the center and pushed the paint out of the way, and it made the most incredible design across there. And then I was doing the double white line inside and outside of the border. But I would do things like that and it would spark, amazingly enough, it would spark memories to just come out of my head. And I was like, wow, I haven't thought of that in so long. And I like this color combination with the pink and the red and the yellow. How did I get pink out of all this? There's a magenta, I think, that I dropped in there. Well, that's how I got it. And then there's green. I love this green. I think that's phthalo green. And then, of course, this yellow, I think, was gamboge. I love gamboge from Dr. P.H. Martin's Hydrus watercolor. Now, a lot of the tube watercolors, like from Holbein and Winsor and Newton, I believe, has a gamboge, but I really like it from the Hydrus drop watercolor. And there's something, didn't really turn out to be much of anything, but I liked it. Oh, and there we go. I did a lot of that around the edges. I was really liking it. And to me, this looks like a baby dragon or an ant. And there's the little dragon, and there's a pedestal or something there. I really like that one. And then, to me, this looked like a map of the world. Like, somewhere, maybe outside the ice wall. If you know, you know. Something like that. Land, water, and volcanic landmass, maybe? I don't know, but it was really interesting to me. That's the first thing that jumped into my mind. And then this one kind of reminds me of an octopus. Right here, an eye, and an eye pointing that way, top of its head. There's an arm coming across. But that's about it. I didn't know enough about practicing how to make animals. So there's that. This is definitely a fish. It was on a larger piece of, oops, sorry. It was on a larger piece of paper. And there, zoom out a little bit. And it just naturally came into being a fish. The eye and everything. There's a pectoral fin, the dorsal, or a pectoral on the other side, and then the frill coming off its tail. And it just formed that way. So I outlined all the things that were familiar to me. And then this one, when I started doing these larger pieces of paper, I'll be right